This is the Roller Coaster Podcast, and I'm your host, Lucy Q. Life is a wild ride. It has twists and turns. It's scary, exciting, and downright fun. So throw your head back, arms in the air, and come along with me for the ride.
Life is like a roller coaster, baby, baby. I wanna ride.
You don't have to look far to see how the world is a place full of negativity, rage, and loneliness. This all impacts our mental health. People are seeking love and understanding. They want to know that they have purpose. Carolina Duarte was called to write, and after 7 months published Messages of Love and Peace. Carolina is joining me today to chat about discovering your greatness. Hi, Carolina.
Hi, Lucy. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
Very good. Happy to be here.
So, what was the driving factor behind writing this book?
Well, for those who have faith and are believers, I started to receive messages from God around in 2014 when I felt like my life was kind of empty and I didn't feel like I have a purpose. Or even though I was doing good in all areas, nothing tragic was happening. It was just I felt like I could do something more valuable and purposeful in my life. So I asked God for guidance, and He actually started to give me answers through messages, like a voice in my head. And I started to write them down. And probably like 2 years later, He told me I had to take those messages and put them in a book. And I just ignored Him completely for a long time because I was like, I'm not a writer. Like my career was marketing and international business, so not even close to anything that has to be with writing. But then He kept bugging me about it. I'm like, okay, I know how to do a website, so I'll just create a website. And I put all the messages that I receive, and I still receive, so I always updating and putting new messages. And that wasn't enough either. So He kept bugging me more and more. He's like, you have to call it Messages of Love. And last year, before the pandemic hit, I said, okay, I'm doing this. I'm taking this leap of faith. I'm leaving everything behind, and I'm just going to write this book. And I started just to creating the whole book, putting all those messages together, dividing them by themes and topics, and just to organize it better, just so people can find them easier, whatever guidance they're looking for. So that's pretty much the short story of how this, and I actually wrote more books. I just haven't launched them yet. I didn't know how much work was behind actually publishing a book, which I'm learning. So this is a whole new thing that I'm doing now.
So when you said you heard a voice in your head prompting you to do this, did you ever question that voice at the beginning? Did you sort of think, I'm just making this up, or what is this?
I did, and I actually it started in 2014. So I kind of knew because I was going to church, so I felt like that was just for me. I don't know if anyone hears it, but it's just like I felt like maybe it's my intuition, maybe it's just my bigger me telling me what to do. But then the messages were so full of wisdom that I'm like, I'm wise, but I'm not that wise. And the language it uses and is just different, and the way I speak is just different. And it took me literally 7 years or 6 years to just say it out loud. This is God speaking to me, or that's how I feel it is. If I'm wrong, maybe I am. But it took me like until last year I started to say it, but this year I'm saying it like more confident that it is Him, and I just openly say it. And I was kind of shy, and I was feeling that people would be judgmental about it. Maybe people, oh my God, maybe she's crazy. And I even thought maybe I am crazy. I don't know. Maybe I'm just I think I'm listening to voices that are speaking to me. I thought about it, and I still do sometimes, but I think
that's not a bad voice to be hearing. I mean, if you're hearing positive thoughts and you're sharing messages that ultimately are going to help people and help the world in general, then, that's not so crazy.
That's what I thought. Like maybe if I was crazy, it would be something damaging myself or hurting myself or just hurting other people, but it's actually bringing a positive impact in the world. So even if it's just being crazy, it's having a positive impact on people and on me. And I have this change in my entire the way I see things, the way I behave is becoming so much more positive and loving and giving that I just see that change in myself that I could impact other people as well. So if I'm crazy and it's working for bringing
It's a
something
good
good to the
crazy.
world, exactly, it's a
Who
good thing.
who was the first person you actually said, I think God is talking to me?
No one asked me that before. It was my brother. He's always the one I go to when I have new things because he's not judgmental at all. And he's like, "Oh my God, that's so cool. What did he tell you?" Wasn't like, "Oh, are you sure?" He was, "Oh wow, that's nice. What did he say?" And
Oh,
can you
that's good.
ask him next time to do this? And I'm like, okay.
He was asking you to ask God for a favor?
Yeah, for things like,
What
can
was
you
he, what,
ask
the
him, what
lottery?
should I do this or should I do that? I'm like, you should ask him yourself. I mean, you can talk to him as well. So it was
Yeah,
fun.
you're like, hey, this is about me, not about you. Yeah, brothers, eh?
I know he's the youngest, so maybe that's why.
Oh, okay. So you said that it started to change things around you when you first started, taking those baby steps and admitting out loud that you were receiving these messages from God. What were those sort of initial changes you started to see around yourself?
Well, I believe I speak just like he's a friend, but he was giving me exercises, which actually they turn into books and now they're courses. So he was giving me like, okay, you have to believe in yourself because I was telling him, I can't do this book. This is not a part. He's like, okay, you're going to have to write all five qualities, virtues, or whatever talent you think you have every day, physically and personally. And if I didn't do it, it was like so annoying in my head. So I had to, then I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. So I had to just do in a notebook, writing all these five things that I believe I had, like talents and things. And that went on for like 2 or 3 months. And then I was living with someone that wasn't, was a difficult person. So he's like, okay, now you have this difficult person in your life. And I'm very nice. It doesn't matter how he responds. And I was like, oh, I don't want to. Yes, you're gonna do it. And if that person was me, like, you see, I was nice, it was me. It doesn't matter. It's all about love. It's all about giving. It doesn't matter how the other ones respond. So little by little, I think he was just trying to make me a nicer person and prepare me to whatever I have to do. That's kind of the transformation. She was just I just gave it two examples. There was a bunch of exercises on and on and on and different things. So that's the way it worked.
Okay, you kind of threw me there because you said, I'm going to be perfectly honest, you said you had to write five qualities or five things every day. When I hit a crisis point, it was one of the lowest points in my life. It was August 2017. I was done. I was absolutely done. I didn't know what to do. I just wanted to run away from my life, but I couldn't. I had people that needed me. And, it was one of those moments where I was brought to my knees and I just begged the universe. I'm like, please just give me one thing to do. Get me out of this tailspin. What is the one thing I need to do? And I asked, and the universe answered, and it said just five things.
Oh, you go.
It said, I'm not kidding you. It said just like five things of what you want your life to be like. And I
Oh
wrote
well.
them out. They were very simple at the beginning. I wrote them out. And then the next day I wrote them out. And it became like I couldn't start my day unless I did it. And eventually, they evolved and they turned into, I added different things and polished them. Still to this day, pretty much 95% of the time, I start my day with writing out those five things and journaling.
Oh wow.
I kid you not. You could go back and listen to other episodes. I've spoken about this before. So when you
Okay,
said he
interesting.
told you to write five things, I'm like, whoa. I refer to the universe.
Universe.
We're all connected. We're all, yes, ultimately there's a higher power. That's my belief. I just try to remove some of the labels so that, it's more encompassing. People can feel connected without any possible religious barriers. That's just how I choose to use my language. But
Definitely
that's
okay.
pretty interesting.
I know. I'm shocked too. So.
I'm like, and I was thinking 5 things because I'm like, well, I can count that on one hand. Anybody can do that.
Yeah,
So
I think that's what
interesting.
the point, just to be not overwhelming, so it didn't feel like a lot. And even though sometimes it was hard for me to write, and then when I started to do it repeatedly, the same one, he's like, no, no, you have to do different ones. Cannot be the same all
Oh,
the
so you're
time.
writing 5 different things like all the time?
Yes, because
Okay.
it were talents, my talents, or whatever I feel like I was doing right. Okay, I have, I don't know, I have health. I have 2 hands. I am able to write and read. I have 2 eyes. So, and then I was supposed to go. This part of the exercises of the course of discovering your greatness, because I think that's helped me to discover my purpose, my life purpose. So maybe, the universe or God or however people feel comfortable talking about it is there for us and is there guiding us in the lowest point of our lives when we feel like we have no hope from whatever we can see. So something we cannot see just comes for him, to help out.
You have to be willing to listen.
That's the key. That is the
Because
most important part.
easily, either one of us could have chosen not to listen. And I can
Yes.
see all of the massive changes. If I was to tell myself then how my life would look today, I would never believe them. Never.
I feel exactly the same way. If I would have told myself then, you're gonna books and okay.
You're like, sure, sure.
Like, no, no, it's not happening.
It sounded like your initial exercises were based on gratitude
Yeah, gratitude and recognition.
and
Like,
it's sort of and that sort of uh, establishing self-love.
yeah, exactly. Finding love for who I am and accepting myself the way I am.
And
And
that's not easy.
no, it's not. It's one of the hard. That's what I was saying. It just sounds so easy. Just write 5 talents or 5 qualities. It's easy. But then you have, really thinking about them is just, it becomes hard. And to recognize it becomes, you feel like, I don't know, I felt like I was being, or maybe I'm just being too proud about who I
Yeah,
am.
egotistical.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But he always told me, like, you have to be humble about it. Doesn't mean because you have this talent you can just step over people and just feel better because you have it, because that person might have something you don't have, so it doesn't matter who has what. You just have to recognize it.
And I think I want to say it's harder for women to recognize their skills, talents, and attributes.
Yeah, I don't know why, but I feel the same way. I don't know why. I don't know if it's society of the way we grow up.
Well,
I don't know.
I think it also comes from, the workplace because men have been the leaders in the workplace so long. I think women got accustomed to, you know, diminishing their own flame and backing away. And I'm going to say over the last 10 years, you're seeing more and more women encouraging each other, to be part of the conversation, to step up. And that, they don't only have a place at the boardroom table, they have a place at the head of the boardroom table.
Yeah, I think men are too. That's my thought. Men are too afraid of how much power we have as women that they just try to diminish us.
And I actually had that conversation with my husband. We've been married 27 years now,
Oh
together
wow!
30
Congratulations.
years. And we had this conversation. It was relating to something else, but I said, I don't understand. What are men afraid of? And he said, we're afraid that you're not going to need us.
Yeah, that's what I heard too. That's what I heard from men, because they said we have to, we're like the strong ones.
And that's
You
what he
don't need
said.
us. Where do we belong in your life?
He said that his entire, boys are raised, at least the boys, if up until recent generations, I'm going to say, I don't think we didn't raise our boys this way. But he said, you know, your whole childhood, you're told that you have to be these strong guys, that you have to, you know, when you get married, you have to be able to provide for the family. You have to do all these things. You're the protector. So this is drilled into your head. And then suddenly you get to this point where you're married to this really strong woman and she doesn't necessarily need that. And he goes, you don't know where to put yourself. So I get it.
Yeah, so I think that's one of the issues. And I'm come from a Latin family, so it's even stronger in the Latin culture.
Yeah, there's
That
definitely
yeah,
sort of more traditional roles. They're
they're
ingrained for a
more
long
defined.
time.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, we went down a rabbit hole there. That was awesome. So, okay, let's get back to your book. So, what is the underlying theme of your book?
Well, I put all the messages, like not all, some of the messages on the book, and I divide them in in four pieces. The first book is God is my guide, self-forgiveness, um, love, God's or celestial love versus mundane love. And I forgot the last one. I have it right here. I have the Spanish version right here in front of me. Oh, la, la. Oh, loneliness is the last part.
Let's just focus on loneliness. What were some of the messages about that?
The messages is more of, for that part is more of how like lack of love and loneliness is just relying on God. So it's a lot about God and how everyone around you could be a source of love that you probably are not seeing. Doesn't They could be there, but you're just blocked yourself from them, or you close your heart and you're not open to see new people, or they hurt you in the past and you're judging this person that you just met based on what happened to you in the past. So it's just relieving you from all those blocks from past experiences and just saying, okay, just open your heart to new love, and I'm here for you if something happens, kind of.
Did he, you know, are there in that section of the book, are there any suggestions on how you actually rely on God? If you're not somebody that doesn't already have God or a religious figure in your life, is there steps on how you can create that
um
relationship?
Not on this book, because these are just like inspirational messages, but it's more about listening to your heart. So if no one has ever believed in God, or they have, but they might are interested in some kind of way, then they can just focus on their heart. Find a That's, I always tell people, even if you don't believe in anything, just find a quiet place at least once a day for 5 minutes and listen to your heart, what your heart truly wants, because we know what the heart truly wants and we go against it because we're sabotaging ourselves, or because we think that's what society wants or what we should do. But when we follow our heart is usually when we follow, I believe, God, or we're following the path we should go, and we're doing the thing that will make us joyful. I was going to say hype, joyful. And I think that's just, if we do that simple thing, regardless of what we believe in, I think we'll be happier and more faithful to ourselves and just true to ourselves.
So if somebody either wants to reach out, take one of your courses, or buy one of your books, what is the best way for them to connect with you?
The website is messagesofloveandpeace.com.
Awesome. Well, I will make sure that all of your social links and that link is in the show notes. And thank you so much for joining me today, Carolina.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Roller Coaster Podcast. Want to chat or share your ideas about today's show? Pop me an email at hello@therollercoasterpodcast.com. Don't forget to connect with me on Facebook and Instagram at The Roller Coaster Podcast. Our theme song, Roller Coaster, was performed by The Lucky Setback. Audio editing by the one and only Jeff Quigley of Quigley Creative.
Life is like a roller coaster, baby, baby. I wanna ride, 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 ride. Life is like a roller coaster,